Karen Knapp, President, CEO, United Way of St. Lucie County. I'd like to take the first part of our program to thank all of the wonderful volunteers who helped raise funds for United Way and for those who really depend on the services we fund. I'd also like to thank all of the donors for their wonderful gifts, and also I'd like to thank our vision councils, because our vision councils and our community partners are working right now with United Way to identify key issues in our community. And those key issues are going to be brought to light, and United Way will direct its resources to help meet the needs in those areas. But today we have some special people with us from the Archos St. Lucie County. Welcome, Jeff and Becca.
Thank you.
Thank
you for having us.
The Archos St. Lucie County, United Way has been funding the ARC for many years. Let's talk about your mission, and then we'll get into some of your programs.
Well, we, and most people may not know this, that we primarily serve people with developmental disabilities, and that's our niche. And we've been in existence since 1954, and I don't know how many people know that. That's 62 years, so that's a long time. Our mission primarily is to provide the individuals with empowerment so that they themselves can achieve the best quality of life possible. A lot of that is through following normal routines of life, of getting up in the morning and getting ready for work and going to lunch and working again and coming home and experiencing that cycle of life. And we're there every step of the way to help teach them how they can be as happy and satisfied in those situations as we can. So the overview also is where most people probably are aware of our day program, our adult day program, and it's over there by the college. But we're up to around 95 people that we serve there, and it's really become large. And to the point that we have to think, what's the next step here? In addition, we also do residential services. We provide 6 people in 4 different homes throughout Fort Pierce area, and that's a program that we would like to do some more expansion on also. And our after-school program is something that is kind of intriguing. We're kind of in the midst of sort of redesigning our after-school program and looking at different ways of implementing it, and also expanding to the whole county. A lot of our services is in Fort Pierce, and we want to look at the whole county of St. Lucie. So,
You know, we have after-school programs. United Way funds other programs, but tell our audience how you're different, how your clients are come to you with special needs, and how you're able to meet those needs.
in the after-school program,
Right.
Okay.
well, we may.
The after-school program is specifically for children with developmental disabilities, as you know. That is our main goal, providing services to people with disabilities. The child must have an IEP. For anyone that doesn't know what it stands for, it's an individual education plan. The IEP is provided through the school that the child attends, through the help of the school staff, and by parental guidance and input. They're able to create an IEP and create goals that they work on to increase educational growth and as well as social skills growth. How we partner with the school is the fact that even outside of the school, we work on the goals that are in the IEP. So not only do they work at them with the school, but we continue that and we pick up where they kind of leave off. So we work on the goals, and those goals might include motor skills, social skills, educational, pretty much anything, and it's specific to the disability that the child might have. So we work on any needs that they have in order to increase their educational and social skills.
And to prevent regression.
Yeah, that's one of our main goals, is to prevent regression. And if as well as we try to encourage children to interact with their peers. A lot of times what happens is that children that have trouble interacting with others in school, they end up acting out. And so we try to make sure that they're able to form good friendships at the after-school program and encourage that, so we are able to work on the disability aspect and the goals that they have. So.
I think somebody else walking into an after-school program might be a little surprised at the ages too. And we will serve up to 22 years old,
Yeah.
which you wouldn't see in other after-school programs. Due to their funding and the special ed component to it, you go up to the age of 22.
And a lot of that is dependent upon the school as well. If a child is still in school at the age of 21, they can continue on into public school in St. Lucie County until the age of 22. So as long as they're in school and have that IEP, we're able to serve them. We start at the age of 5, which is pretty young comparatively to a lot of programs. We don't serve ages 4, but there are many pre-K schools that are actually free to the community and free to families in St. Lucie County. So,
Jeff, you're the new executive director. Talk to our audience and let them know, who is the leader of the ARC, and let's talk about your qualifications as well. And then we're going to get into your staff.
Okay, well, this could be 5 seconds or it could be a whole day. But I've made it a career. I originally wanted to be a special ed teacher, and I fulfilled that through education, but it just kept moving into the doctorate arena. And where I found myself after getting my doctorate in special ed administration is the intent to run these programs that serve people with developmental disabilities. For probably the first third of my life, I oversaw and was like the executive director, CEO of state institutions that serve people with developmental disabilities. And, going back to when I got my first job, it was, and I tell people to this day, when I started there, and they said, they'd take one locked door and then they'd go to another locked door, and this is at the tail end of institutionalization, but it was still there. And seeing the conditions of people, rows of beds, no furniture, there was church pews where the individuals would sit. The bathrooms was two bathrooms, but the door is taken off, and most of the time the individuals would tear their clothes off, and there was no activities and training, and it was just eye-opening to be able to see that historically, to the point that we have 4 beautiful homes in St. Lucie County and they have their own furnishings, and they eat the dinner that they want. And to see that transition from that point to then, I feel blessed to be able to have experienced that. So within that, I like I said, I've made a career of being executive director, state institutions, community-based operations like this. This is a challenge to me because it's one of the smaller ones, and there's intricate aspects of how you approach that and how you work. Like, come on, team, and you look around and there's
2 people.
there's 2 people following you. So you have to kind of learn how to do it. I think one of the skills that I bring is the interest of working in the community. Already I've made a number of contacts with the Indian River College, the Florida Atlantic College, of just developing any kind of program that we can, because then we get benefits back, the individuals get benefits back, the families get benefits back, and it always could lead to something else, why don't we do a grant together? And I think even in a short time I've been there, I'd say there's been 5 or 6 different organizations that we've tapped into. So hopefully they treat me well for the next few years, and I think we'll have a program that returns us to being proud of what we do. So.
We talked about the after-school program. Let's talk about the adult daycare.
Okay.
The adult daycare is what I was referring to earlier, has just really grown. We've before you would have somebody calling you up and say, here, my son wants to come there, can't, and we just say, okay, we'll bring him in. It's gotten to the point that we even needed to develop an admissions committee, because as soon as we get referrals, we want to talk about it. What's the fit for the individual, and
That's important.
and what kind of setting we have. And we've also trying to improve the programmatic aspect of the ADT, where I think some of our customers were not pleased that we were getting into the same routine and habit versus more community outreach. We recently, one of the other arrangements, we've made contact with the UP program, where we send individuals 3 times a week to help them out, and the individuals get a rewarding experience of helping other people. And so we're trying to do more community outreach and more internal things that are different, such as we're building a kitchen on the outside in the basic area, and the individuals will have cooking class so they can carry those skills back to wherever they live. So.
And you have a camp program. Let's talk about the camp
We
program.
do have a summer camp program. Just like the after-school program, the children have to have an IEP in order to attend the camp, but the main goal is to prevent regression during the summertime. As we know, any child during the summer, they don't always have a structured routine, and kids with disabilities need that even more so. So the camp allows us to continue working on the goals that the IEP has, and implementing even activities that are educational based, such as going to zoos or going to museums, wildlife sanctuaries, teaching them things about our community as well. So our main goal is to keep that regression from happening and encouraging them to actually prosper during the summer rather than having a worse time transitioning back into the school at the end of the summer. So.
Yeah, the children have parents as well, and those parents have to work. So I can see where this is a huge benefit, not only to the person, your clients, but also to the families of the clients and ultimately the entire community. You have a vision for the future, and we've got a few minutes left. Let's talk about what you plan to do in the future and future expansion so that the entire community can take advantage.
Okay, we do have vision. We've sort of thrown some in there already, but I think one of the things that we view where we can be of value to the community more so is to try to increase our number of residential homes. As I said, we have 4 homes of 6 people each. That is something that we feel we're the leader in this county, and we want to continue to lead and take more difficult people where families are having a hard time. So that's certainly a push we're trying to do. We're also trying to develop an additional site for our adult day program. As I was saying, it's up to 95, and the building is getting small on us. And we want to go to Port St. Lucie, where a lot of people will transport them in, or they'll transport in, and it makes more sense to just be close to where their home is. And then the after-school program, we have a lot of interest in developing that, and having a second site also for that program in particular. A lot of the families are out there in Port St. Lucie and not so much here.
And also, we're actually starting a new grant for the summer, which is through Division of Oak Rehab, and it's going to be, it's called the WIOA grant, a work initiative one for the older children that are in our summer camp. So that's a newer thing that we're going to be doing this summer. They'll learn how to do different skills with pre-vocational things, like learning how to do a work application, or learning how to dress for success, and how to interact with others. So we're excited for what we have.
Well, you all are doing a wonderful job and really filling a gap in the community. and I commend you both for that. I want to thank you for joining us. Our time is out. I hate to say it,
It went so
but
quickly.
we hope you'll return, and we'll be right back.
Take my hand and start a brand new day. And together as one we'll start to see some change.
Underneath everything we are, underneath everything we do, we are all people, connected, interdependent, united. And when we reach out a hand to one, we can influence the condition of all. That's what it means to live united.
Welcome back to Live United. We're now going to talk to the Treasure Coast Food Bank. Welcome, David.
Good to be here.
We're going to talk about the Treasure Coast Food Bank and your mission and all of the wonderful things you're doing in the community and the impact you're making on the residents of St. Lucie County. Let's just talk first about your mission and get into some of your programs.
Sure. Our mission is to alleviate hunger in the four-county distribution area, which is obviously St. Lucie County, but also Martin, Okeechobee, and Indian River as well. Our programs, we actually run, in addition to emergency food distribution, which I think is what everyone knows about the food bank, we also run 20 direct service programs in our community. Those are programs that reach specific vulnerable populations. It could be seniors, it could be children, it could be homeless. We also run a pet pantry. We also run a diaper bank network. So we do more than food is obviously our bread and butter, but we also share essential non-food items as well.
Let's talk about the food and the partners that you have that really help you with bringing the resources to the community.
Sure. So we source a lot of food from our retail partners, obviously Publix, Walmart, Target, Winn-Dixie. They provide tons of fresh produce, lean proteins, dairy, and obviously non-perishable items as well. We also are fortunate to have food donated from Florida farmers too. We're part of the Florida Association of Food Banks, and there's a program called Farmers Feeding Florida, which donates produce that they haven't been able to bring to market. So this time of the year, when the harvest is sort of past its peak in a lot of parts of Florida, we're getting huge amounts of peppers, cucumbers. We get all of those donated to us from local farmers as well. Obviously, people do food drives as well. That's a big part of what we do. Community, it could be condos, it could be gated communities, it could be schools, it could be churches, businesses. Obviously, May 14th, you'll be getting the bag the day before from your local letter carrier, and that's when you can fill that with non-perishable food items. And that's a huge source of food that we get, and particularly important in the summer. As you know, Florida is fairly seasonal, so our population has shrunk a little bit in the last few weeks, but there's still a lot of people here that need food, and that helps fill the coffers for the summer.
Okay, we have the food. Let's talk about the distribution. You have many partners in our community. Tell us about how Treasure Coast Food Bank distributes the food and how you work with those partners to provide the service.
Sure. So we have 400 partners overall. About 100 of them are in St. Lucie County. Mustard Seed, Grace Ways Village, In the Image of Christ, Boys and Girls Club. Those are some examples. The school district as well. What we do is we recover the food. We store it. We safely store it. We've got a pretty big warehouse in Fort Pierce. And then we have what I call the boots on the ground. These are the soup kitchens, the food pantries that are in the neighborhoods that are often walkable. And that's also, these are the community centers where people feel the most trust. There's a bond there. They're most comfortable. And it's also the most accessible. For a senior, may not be able to drive to our warehouse and get food, but instead there's something down the block they can just walk to and access the food. They're the ones, we have a real decentralized approach with this. Since we cover such a large area, it's actually about the size of Rhode Island, the 4 counties when you put it together. We've got to rely on these, our partner agencies, which are really the lifeblood of what we do, to actually directly share the food with those who need it.
And you depend on volunteers. I know there's a group I belong to who is going to do some food packing. People contribute food, and that's one way. Let's talk about how they can help you, let's say on Saturday.
Saturday is what we call Family Day, because a lot of people, we get a lot of calls and actually messages through Facebook, hey, I work, I want to volunteer, what can we do? So the first Saturday of the month is what we call Family Day. It could be 50 people, it could be 100 people, it could be a business, it could be a school, a church. And that's when you would come for 2 to 3 hours and you would sort and pack food. It's a lot of fun. We play music. I also want to mention that our big volunteer event, we had our first one last year. It's called Pack the House, where we challenged the community to sort and pack 100,000 pounds of food in 24 hours. And we surpassed it. We had 500 volunteers. We're going to repeat the event this September. It's sort of our marquee Hunger Action Month event. It's September 9th and September 10th. So they're 3-hour shifts. You're not there the whole 24 hours. There's karaoke going. There's food. There's yoga in the morning. It's a lot of fun, and it's a great way to, to contribute directly to the cause.
Schools will be out soon and summer will arrive, and let's talk about your summer feeding program.
Summer feeding program will start June 6th. A lot of, there's about 50,000 kids on the Treasure Coast who qualify for the free and reduced lunch program at schools. So when schools are closed, those programs are shuttered as well. So what do? Fortunately, we've set up the summer feeding program, again, through a partner sort of structure that we have, and different summer feeding sites at no cost to them or to the families can provide a breakfast, lunch, or snack. They can do breakfast or lunch, or whatever combination they would have. These sites are in neighborhoods. We look pretty closely at, again, the free and reduced data for those neighborhoods. So if they're close to a school that's got a high percentage of kids that qualify for the free and reduced lunch program, that's where we try to set up a site. We prefer sites that would offer some enrichment, cultural, athletic, some sort of activity for the kids in addition to just feeding site. But that's optional as well. That's just something we prefer. It runs all summer long, and we prepare the food actually at the food bank. Our staff does that. We're actually hiring a few people for that, and a driver if anybody's interested. And there's such things as wraps, there's sandwiches for breakfast, there's Nutri-Grain bars, there's fruits. So all those things are packaged at the food bank. We're going to do it at the food bank, and then they're distributed to the partner sites. Our website has all the information about the dates and the requirements and things like that. It's pretty easy. There's obviously paperwork for them to fill out, but it's not a big burden if a site is interested in participating in the program. And we're still definitely taking applications for it.
Oh, okay. So to find out where the sites are located, they can go to your website, or they can call 211. Do you provide?
We work with 211. We prefer if they call us directly to get that information. But our website is sort of the clearinghouse for all that.
So to participate in the summer food program, they have to meet certain requirements, and they would fill out an application form.
Yes, that's really it is, and agree that it's up to kids all the way up to 18. But other than that, it's just following some pretty basic guidelines, and again, no fee for them.
Okay, you talked about a lot of the on-the-ground programs that you run. Let's talk about a few of those. What are you interested in talking about and telling the audience about all the wonderful things that you do, because you do so much and we don't really have enough time to cover all the things that you do.
Well, for St. Lucie County, one of our big programs is the Farm to School. We're real excited about it. It's been up for about a year and a half now. It's in all the schools. Our role is really we are providing the food for the schools. It's a great program. It's such a win-win in so many aspects. Kids are getting nutritious food, they're getting more vegetables, but it's also, Florida's got a lot of rural communities that they really need some, kind of a boost, an economic boost. So we're supporting local Florida farmers as well. It's a program that's, in so many aspects is so wonderful, and we'd like to expand that actually to all 4 counties. St. Lucie's kind of been the pioneer, but we'd like to see that, expand everywhere. And sticking with the schools, we've got our school pantry program, we've got our teen pantry program, we've got our backpack program. I think a lot of people know about that. That's a pretty popular program with our volunteers. Our mobile pantry program, we do that. We also do work in the community to help people enroll in programs they're eligible for, like SNAP, which used to be known as food stamps, Obamacare, and things like that. Our goal really is to what we call shorten the line. If you think about people lined up in a queue for food, we want to shorten that. And one of the ways to do that is to get people off emergency food distribution and to get, ideally employed, at least part-time, ideally full-time, in a job training program, back to school. And they can get some help until they reach that point of self-sufficiency, and that's with food stamps. Food stamps is not, people aren't on it forever. I think there's a perception that you're on it for generation after generation. That's not true. But we want to help them access those programs because the money's there to help them and as a stopgap until they can really get back on their feet. Another program we have is we're actually a diaper bank. There's only 3 in the country. Diapers are really expensive for families and mothers, and we want to help with some of the costs with that. We know how that can affect a child's health, and if they've got more help with things like food and diapers, they've got more money for gas, for their rent, for the phone, all the things, the essentials that they need. So our programs are really, they're targeted for either for children or for seniors, for instance. We do senior boxes. We do actually pack boxes for homeless veterans. I don't think a lot of people know that. So in addition to them getting food, that's easy for them to sort of access in a non-home setting. There could be sunscreen in there. A lot of them are outdoors. So as our programs have expanded, we've been able to target specific populations as well. But in a nutshell, our programs really look at somebody holistically, their entire, not just what they're putting in their stomach, but all aspects of their health, mental and physical.
And you depend heavily on volunteers. If someone wants to help after listening to those wonderful stories and the things that you do, they would call the food bank. What types of volunteer opportunities do you have?
Sure, they can always call the food bank. We've actually, on our website, stophunger.org, we actually have the dates of when we've got availability and actually how many people are needed for a time slot. It's really easy to sign up. But again, they can call if they want. You can message us through Facebook. We're finding increasingly more and more people are asking us questions through Facebook, which is wonderful. So we ask a lot, when you come to the food bank, it's a lot of sorting and packing. It's a 40,000 square foot warehouse. There's, millions and millions of pounds that are brought from our trucks and in big boxes that need to go into smaller containers for the individual agencies that we work with. So we have volunteers from ages 8 to 80. There's something for everybody. Of course, we get a few people that are interested in doing administrative work. We're open to that too. We always need that, and you can join us in the office and do that.
Well, I tell you, I'm so proud to say that the food bank is one of the United Way funded agencies, and I personally have seen your agency grow over the past, I'd say 5-6 years. Tremendous growth in helping people in the community and people who are the most vulnerable in our community. So we want to thank you for that.
Thank you.
And we want to thank you for joining us. If you want to help, if you can call the food bank or you can get a hold of us at United Way. And we have over 30 agencies that will have opportunities for you to serve. Thank you.